So today we continue with the miracle work, and the miracle work is centered around the chapter 1 of A Course in Miracles. So this is the third episode of that, and it is called Miracles and Revelation. You see it over here too, like Miracles and Revelation. And this is a very interesting part of the first chapter, because the miracle principles and the expressions say that having to deal with revelation are mixed together, and yeah, it's lovely to use it that way too, because it is supporting one another. So the revelation readiness, becoming ready to receive revelation, is really what the last part of the chapter is about. And so I want to bring in an idea from the teacher's manual first. So it's about knowing where you actually have to deal with here, knowing what is actually the power that is in you, and say starting to trust that, or putting your faith in it, but trusting that. And that's described in the teacher's manual, in the characteristics of the teachers of God, in the first part of that, and which is trust. And you might be familiar with it. It's a great thing to read. So I'm reading it from the big book. I have to look it up first, but I actually could. Yeah, let me pull it up from the PDF here. Then you can read with me. That's probably easier. So it's a great start, because it's good to be reminded of the idea of trust all the time, since that's one of the things that everything is based on. What are the characteristics of God's teachers? The service traits of God's teachers are not all alike. Not at all alike. Not at all. The service traits of God's teachers are not at all alike. They do not look alike to the body's eyes. Like, you're not looking the same at all as God's teachers. There are lots of differences. They come from vastly different backgrounds, like immensely different backgrounds. If we would compare them today, it would be interesting to see how that actually is. Their experiences of the world vary greatly, and their superficial personalities are quite distinct. Nor, at the beginning stages of their functioning as God's teachers, have they yet acquired the deeper characteristics that will establish them as what they are. So one of the characteristics then becomes this, is one of the characteristics that will be present in everyone is this. So I'm only using the first two, the first two paragraphs of this. Trust. So that's one of the characteristics of God's teachers, which is you, in your recognition of your true function. So this is the foundation on which their ability to fulfill their function rests. Perception is the result of learning. In fact, perception is learning, because cause and effect are never separated. The teachers of God have trust in the world, because they have learned it is not governed by the laws the world made up. Okay, the teachers of God have trust in the world, because they have learned it is not governed by the laws the world made up. It is governed by a power which is in them, but not of them. It is this power that keeps all things safe. It is through this power that the teachers of God look on a forgiven world. So this is really beautiful. The teachers of God have trust in the world because they have learned it is not governed by the laws the world made up. It is governed by a power which is in them but not of them. It is this power that keeps all things safe. So this is the comforting, say, phrase, the comforting idea today. It's like you see a world, you appear to be in a world, and you trust this world as a teacher of God because it is not made by the laws of men. You look straight through it to see the laws of God in them reflected, the laws of love. So that's why you feel safe in it. And that's why you look on a forgiven world. It is not what man would tell you that it is. It is through this power that the teachers of God look on a forgiven world. So when this power has once been experienced, it is impossible to trust one's own petty strength again. This is the sentence that I really would love to bring in too. Who would attempt to fly with the tiny wings of a sparrow when the mighty power of an eagle has been given them? And who would place his faith in the shabby offerings of the ego when the gifts of God are laid before him? What is it that induces them to make the shift? Okay, so there are certain successions of phases where you go through. We're not going to get into that today. But this is good. Like when this power has once been experienced, it is impossible to trust one's own pity strength again. Like why would you fly with the tiny wings of a sparrow when the mighty power of an eagle has been given you? Like why would you choose for littleness, in other words? So I stop the sharing of this. So why would you trust your own ideas instead of seeing with vision to a world that is forgiven, to a world of love instead of conflict and hatred and all this? So this is a good start. This is a good start because so with the miracles, with revelation, it is in fact you already took the turn. You already decided, or the decision was already made for you to not look with the human eyes to everything anymore, but to look with vision to everything and see a forgiven world. So that is what we share today in the miracles and revelation part of the chapter. So why do I bring in the trust part? Well, the trust part is really the recognition of yourself that you already have decided for a different way of looking at everything. So it's like you're on the path. There's no way of turning back or anything. No, you're moving into, it's like a way that is going to be harmonious, a way in which you wait. Whether you see conflict or not, you wait until vision comes back to your perception, so to speak. When vision comes back to you and you feel, say, the love of forgiveness running through you as a basic, as the basis, you could say, the basis of your functioning here in this world. You don't want to come from another place than from love. Like those days are over, that you do that you lash out, or that you think that you need your right, or that you think that somebody can be separate of you, that you can be better off of someone, like comparisons, or analyzing situations in order to see how well you're doing, and despite others. You know, we cannot look at our world anymore like this. So that's why miracles and revelations is coming into our awareness, literally coming into our perspective, and it's lovely to see. It's like even in the first chapter of A Course in Miracles, if you're able to say to move through the first chapter and trying to get in touch with it, what it is actually telling you, that would be like an amazing step. You know, then the rest of A Course in Miracles is easy to go through, because all was already in the beginning. Like literally all healing and communicative devices that are available are exposed in the first chapter. What I mean with that is this, is like the new ways of communicating as a new you, say, are being practiced and being exposed and being shown to you in the first chapter. So with that, if you apply what it says, if you start to literally like use what it says, and then you have a miraculous healing capacity that becomes yours. You know what I'm saying? It's like then the whole book, then the whole Course in Miracles is going to be so much fun to go through, because you recognize immediately everything is confirming what you have read and have, say, recognized in yourself in the first chapter. So then it becomes so easy to see how you can stay and come back again all the time to your recognition of the truth of who you are. So that's my little introduction here to what we're going to go through. Now there's, I think, probably 8 or 9 sheets with, say, statements and miracle principles, statements related to revelation. So you see that these are always words representing something else, like they're symbols of symbols. So they don't directly represent what this is about. And so in order to receive it, it takes a moment, or it takes a miracle in a sense, to hear it, what is being shared. And so it is not about the words, is what I'm saying. So the words are going to do something with you. They point in the direction in you by becoming receptive to get what this says. It is already a miraculous occurrence in itself that is occurring. And that's really the offering that I'm doing here. Like, it would be of no use to just read it as a concept. So that emphasizes again then the incredible healing power, capacity of what is being shared, and exposing of communicative devices, things that you will apply in order to see the communication that is going on in this instant as we speak. Well, that's a good stretch. That's a good stretch for your consciousness. So, yeah, let's just do this. It's great. I love to build it up in that sense, because it is never enough. Like, you, not that you're lacking anything, but it's more like you want to receive all of this as your individual experience of yourself, which is really where the benefit is. Like, to receive this for yourself is to give it away to everyone. So this is really where this is for. So miracles and revelation. Oh yeah. Remember the point about miracles as a means of organizing different levels of consciousness. Yeah, we've been through this before, I remember that. It's like, but remember the point about miracles as a means of organizing different levels of consciousness. Like, you want to have that so clear. So that's why we go repeat this just and bring this back in. Miracles come from the below conscious or subconscious level. So they come from down under, so to speak, and come into your consciousness. And this is interesting. So I'm not going to explain that, but it will come back in the miracle principles that we're going to read. So miracles come from the below conscious or subconscious level. Revelations come from the above conscious level, so the supraconscious level. Revelations come from the above conscious level into our consciousness. If the identification is with the body, consciousness may distort superconscious impulses by denying their source and seeking their impact in the orgasm. So we're getting ourselves into the real stuff, so to speak, like the real passion character of your relationship with everything that is. So in that sense, it's serious, or it's, you know, these forces running through you, and these all represent not what you thought they were representing. In other words, the passion that you feel, the absolute, say, ecstasy that you can experience, you translated it as a bodily activity, for instance, as sex and orgasm, or you know, it's like this is a distortion of the superconscious impulses. So it's not, it has not body related whatsoever, and you know this too, and you might even have that as a focus in your physical activities, to go beyond the body and having a superconscious impulse coming to you while trying to look for that through the body. So I'm just spelling this out for you. It's like, if the identification is with the body, consciousness may distort superconscious impulses by denying their source. So that may happen. It doesn't mean that it happens all the time. It may happen. But what I'm actually trying to convey here is the intensity and say the ecstasy of the experiences that we're dealing with, that we're like, it is the pure life energy that you are, that's running through your system, running through your being, because that's literally where you are made of. It is what you are. So that's why it's really important to get this straight, in a sense, but also to see on what field, you could say, on what field the experiences are taking place. Like, they have to do with your gut, so to speak, with the depth of your being, with all of you. Like the part where you, say, completely lose any kind of boundaries, in the sense of your communication is completely open in communicating with God. So with the revelation, say, the revelation comparison, you could say, that is the same thing. We'll come to that in a moment. That is the same intensity. Revelations induce a complete but temporary suspension of doubt and fear. And that's so great. You know, if just for a moment you lose all doubt and fear. In other words, you enter into a total certainty. A total certainty that God loves you. Like a total certainty that God loves you. Okay, so the next sentence, I'll take that immediately too. It should be noted that they involve an extremely personal sense of closeness to creation, which man tries to find in sexual relationships. This confusion is responsible for the depression and fear which are often associated with sex. Sex is often associated with lack of love, but revelation is purely a love experience. Physical closeness cannot achieve this. So I put this all on one sheet, so just to have it all like clear here. So revelations induce complete but temporary suspension of doubt and fear. So I'm going to stop right here, there, so like this. It's like physical closeness cannot achieve that, and it's say the revelation comes to you in a moment, just whether that's working out for you or not. You're just receiving it. I always use my example of a very intense revelation I had in when I came back from the United States after living there for 10 years, entering back into Europe. In Dublin Airport, I have 2 hours of delay of stepping over into of transit into the next plane. And one thing happens, and that is suddenly I have a revelation of the love of God so intensely that I literally say fall apart right in the middle of an airport. So it is like it can happen anywhere. It can happen at any moment. It is given you, and if you still need to catch a plane, you might be lucky to get it too. I achieved that. But what I mean to say is like it can happen anywhere at any time. It is a moment of suspending of doubt and fears. Like it lifts you completely out of any insecurity. It's like just diving deeply into the feeling of complete connectedness, in total certainty, total trust, and total completedness, fulfillment, gratitude, grace, you name it. It's like just for a moment that happens. So you could say that's a life-changing experience. Suddenly you feel the power of flying with the wings, like flying with the power of an eagle instead of the wings of a sparrow. And there's nothing that can compare with it. So I'm looking for that totality of experience. You might try to look for it in sexual relationships. You might try to, this is very common and very like, yeah, sure, you can still look for that. I'm not going to take any of that away from you. It is just in physical relationships, it does not work that complete. Like no matter how great your experiences are, and it's not to compete with it or to take anything away, like I said, but it has to do with your say desire, your desire for a totally and completely say full-on experience of total love is completely appropriate. That is where you feel alive. Absolutely. It's like, where else or how else are you going to experience that than when it's taking literally every part of you, communicating with every aspect of creation? Who wouldn't want that? Like, that has everything to do with you. You know that it's that total. That might also be your like hesitance to dive into an experience or to dive into surrendering to God or letting yourself be impregnated with light and love so completely that it disrupts your whole being. This, of course, I understand. like I understand. But see, your desire, and this is coming from really deep, you could say, like it's a really deep desire, heart's desire, soul's desire, to have that complete reunion inside yourself with everything that is. Absolutely, absolutely. So that's the beauty and the passion that you recognize yourself to be. That's where you feel alive. And wherever you try to look for it, and when it isn't complete, it is also not really, say, satisfying in that sense. It is not completely fulfilling you. While there is an opportunity to have that fulfillment be complete, you know, this is, you will end up experiencing that anyway. It's like you can postpone it, or you can say translate it into a different form that isn't completely whole, but why not having a whole experience of that is totally life-changing and takes away all fear and doubt and brings you into total certainty, no matter where you are, where you go, whatever, whenever that's occurring. So this is what we talk about with the idea of revelation. All right. So thanks for putting up with me in this. It's really beautiful. Okay, so you can always read this again. I made a PDF of it too. If you want to receive that, just write it in the comments or email me or whatever, and I will send it to you. The revelation unites souls directly with God. The revelation unites souls directly with God. The miracle unites souls directly with each other. See, there's a horizontal, you could say, a parallel in this. So you could say this is the miracle geometry. So there are two parallels here that are actually one, like the two parallel lines meeting in eternity. Revelation unites souls directly with God. Well, that's one vertical line. The miracle unites souls directly with each other. So that's the nature of the miracle. It is with your brother, recognizing your common source. Okay, so the deeper levels of his subconscious always contain the impulse to miracles, but he is free to fill its superficial levels, which are closer to consciousness, with the impulses of this world, and to identify himself with them. Okay, so deeper levels of his consciousness always contain the impulse of the miracle. Like that is a deeper layer in yourself, in your consciousness. It's a deeper level. But on the superficial level of your consciousness, there's always, which are closer to consciousness, like which you can bring in easily, have always to do with the impulses of the world. So this is continuously in your awakening, continuously coming back to you. Whether you pick up an impulse, a miracle impulse, or whether you pick up an impulse of this world, which are closer to your consciousness, like easy to grab, so to speak, or easy to, we translate this too in listening to the voice, like the voice is quiet, the world is screaming. So where are you going to listen to? That's what this is about. Like the deeper levels are quiet. The impulse of the miracle is right here. So they can be brought into your consciousness too, by your decision. If you already take something from this world, your consciousness is filled with that, with the impulses of the world, and you identify yourself with it until you learn to wait a moment and to go a little deeper, to listen, and it's like no, I don't want the world's response to this. I don't want the world's impulses to come into my consciousness. It's like, this is what we do in the mind training. In fact, you say like, my meaningless thoughts are showing me a meaningless world. So whatever I perceive in this world is not going to do it for me in this moment. I'm letting it go. I'm letting this pass by as the clouds in the sky. And wait for the miracle impulse to come to me, which is a direct unity with your brother, with other souls, whether they are present or not, whether they seem to be physically next to you or not. It doesn't matter, because that was another temptation, to think that there's such thing as a separation, or thinking that there's different locations and times. Miracles are a way of earning release from fear. Now it's like, is this an exchange? Miracles are a way of earning release from fear. Yeah, so the earning then is your investment in letting the impulses, miracle impulses, come into your consciousness. It's something you will have to learn. Like, that's a way of earning release from fear. That is a definite choice, not to be ruled by the impulses of the world, but by the miracle impulses. And that will release the fear, because a miracle is an expression of love. That makes so much sense, doesn't it? Like, miracles are an expression, a natural expression of love. You will see that probably too in one of the expressions here. Revelations induce a state in which fear has already been abolished. So it's almost like you're being knocked off your horse. So you're already knocked off your horse. If we speak in Saul to Paul expression, Saul chasing the Christians on his horse. I can see it in front of me. It's like Saul chasing the Christians. Suddenly he's knocked off his horse and has a revelation. Like, he's not afraid to fall off his horse, he's already down. Suddenly he's blinded by the light of direct communication with God. It's like hearing a voice telling him, it's like, why are you say, persecuting me? Why are you doing that? Well, this is a beautiful, say, analogy with what we're actually reading. So the revelation is a direct experience of God, like a direct communication with God, where fear is already abolished. Yeah, so if you see it as, okay, yes, I already am knocked off my horse, and now I'm vulnerable, receptive, and boom, there it is. There's the revelation coming to me. You see that that's different then. So the miracle is in fact allowing the miracle impulse to come into your awareness is really like allowing love to rule your consciousness instead of the worldly impulses that is always competitive, conflictual, and limited. So making the choice for the miracle to come to you is already a choice for love. That's why this is a course in love, in a sense, like it's a course of love. It is learning to release fear, which means, like, releasing fear means letting go of the impulses of the world, letting go of your temptation to think that there's something separate from you. See how great that is. It's like so beautiful to see it like this, because this is actually the way that it's functioning. I love this. This is so clear. It's lovely. Miracles are thus a means to come into a fearless experience of yourself, and revelations are an end. It's like it's a direct way to completely, to be in a total communication with your Creator. Miracles is a means to recognize that there is nothing to fear and that love rules your consciousness if you allow that. And in this sense, they work together. So the revelation readiness is at least like, well, you have to get used to bringing miracle impulses into your consciousness. You allow that to occur. You allow fear to be, say, undone in your consciousness by bringing in expressions of love, like moments of love, experiences of love, where you're not stopping yourself, like not controlling yourself with ideas about limitation, about, say, worldly laws. Revelation is intensely personal. And they're actually not translatable into conscious content at all. So this is totally true. It's like revelation is an intensely personal experience. And it's actually not translatable into conscious content at all. Like there's no way you can express what happens. So you can, say, create an image, like I just did with Saul being knocked off his horse and receiving say a lightning storm into his being with a direct communication with God. That's an image. Like that does not tell you how personal it was to Saul. Well, for Saul, you could see it like the fruition of that experience was that he never chased a Christian, but he started to teach the truth. And with so much, with so much certainty that nothing could imprison him anymore. Whether he was in prison or not, it really doesn't matter. It didn't matter to him anymore because he had the touch of this. He was directly communicating with his Creator. In that state, fear is already abolished. It's gone. In other words, it was a total love experience. Well, a total love experience is not something you're going to forget. It's like, no, you have a total recognition of yourself. That is the great part, what happens. Yeah, this is awesome. So I'm getting really excited about this. Yeah, see, this is also so great. Revelation induces only experience. Revelation induces only experience. That's all. Like, it's a pure, direct experience of total love. No fear, no doubt. Total certainty. Complete fulfillment. So miracles, on the other hand, induce interpersonal action. You know, interpersonal action. Miracles, on the other hand, induce interpersonal action. In the end, these are more useful in our stage of learning, or in our phase of learning. These are more useful because of their impersonal nature. Like, now, what is so impersonal about this? Well, see, the miracle is a moment in which, say, fear is abolished, which fear has been taken out of the equation, you could say, since we're into the mathematics of miracles. So they induce an interpersonal action, but they have an impersonal nature. Like, it has nothing to do with the other guy. It has nothing to do with the other person. No, it's a recognition of your divine love that you recognize and that you, say, share together in that moment. Like, that is the power of it. it is a moment in which you both let not the say the laws of the world impose on your consciousness. No, you let go of this fear. Suddenly you have nothing to lose in recognition of each other and of God. And that's why it's impersonal. You literally let go of your identification and come into an experience of union, of unity. That's why it's impersonal. In this phase of learning, working miracles is more valuable because freedom from fear cannot be thrust upon. The experience cannot last. So it's like you have to practice this because it will come back over and over and over. It's like as long as you perceive yourself as as being in a world, having moments in which you experience love, suddenly coming back into fear, having a fearful idea coming to you, you have to come back to the lower, say the subconscious level, in which you allow the miracle impulse to come into your awareness instead of the worldly impulse that frightened the heck out of you. It's like that was so scary to you for just a moment, but now you're not responding to that. It's like we're not solving that problem. Wait a minute. No, I have a miracle mind. I can literally allow the miracle impulse to come into my awareness. So that's why this is more helpful in this phase of learning that we find ourselves. So the miracle is really what this training is about. And that's why there's a course in miracles. Like if that curriculum is complete, if you say are in a stage in which you actually are directly communicating with God all the time, then there's no need for miracles anymore. They lose their function. But up to that point, now you gotta be honest with yourself. It's like, well, just take a look at it. I don't know if you still experience fear or things that appear to you as scary or threatening, or you find yourself defending yourself against something. If this occurs, miracles is really your work terrain, so to speak. This is your area where you're going to develop an expertise in miracle mindedness and miracle healing, if you want. It's like you're going to develop that so well in order to come into a revelatory state of mind, which doesn't know about fear, which doesn't know about anything but the total love of God. So it's like then all the symbols of the world are dissolving too. It's like, yeah, you recognize them, you can use them in your whatever you want to share, but in fact, you're directly communicating with your creator. So a beautiful example, if you want, of a revelatory mind that doesn't know of fear is when you listen to Master Teacher. Like what he is saying has nothing to do with what you think it is about. So there's a direct experience related to it, where he is teaching from. So that's beautiful to see that as an example. So because it is completely open, like it's not afraid of anything, it is not holding back, it is not defending, it is not doing any of these human things or worldly things. It is not interested in that at all because it doesn't see it. It's literally like not seeing that. At the same time, it can see you in anything that you hold on to. So that's why the healing that can take place, you could say like the healing that can take place that is being offered continuously then in this meeting too. It's like the healing that's continuously being offered to you is one of this. It's like there's a miracle healing opportunity in every situation. And we're not going to miss any of that. Like you want to train yourself and become in receiving that in all your affairs. And every time that you see that you fall into the trap of fear, of defensiveness, of rejection, of separation, of hate, of conflict. So then you stop right there, you're not doing anything with that. We said it the other day too. It's like you put your total faith in fact, in the miracle impulse that will come into your consciousness if you give it space. If you give space in your mind for that to happen, so that love can rule your mind again, and you extend from there. Becoming revelation ready, because if your mind is clear and open, you are able to receive revelation. But that's not of your, it's not of your control. It's not you deciding when that's going to happen. The same with the miracle. So the other day we had the instruction of, before you perform a miracle, before you allow this change to occur, ask me if this is the right time to do that. It's like, am I supposed to, say, perform a miracle here? Something is coming to me. Am I supposed to, it's like, should I be performing this miracle? That is always under Christ's control. It's like He decides for you whether that's necessary for you or not. So this is your daily practice. So there's some things to learn in this sense. So there's some new habits to create. One response to this world is not letting yourself be confused by the worldly laws or the worldly ideas. Coming back to your miracle impulse receptiveness, to your miracle mindedness. In this phase of learning, working miracles is more valuable because freedom from fear cannot be thrust upon you. Like, you have to develop that yourself. It's like Jesus cannot take away the fear out of your mind, but you can ask for miracles. You can allow yourself to release fear. Miracles praise God through men. They praise God by honoring His creations and affirming their perfection. Oh, that's so beautiful. So it's like miracles praise God through men. So it's an interpersonal activity, but recognizing the impersonal nature of you, which is your perfection, and that of your brother at the same time. So this is not anymore a comparison, which would make it personal. No, it's impersonal. So it's not about you and I have it and you don't. No, it's like I recognize that in you as well as me. And that praises God because He created you like that. They heal because they deny body identification. They heal because they deny body identification and affirm soul identification. See this deeper layer, this deeper miracle layer, subconscious level. They heal because they deny body identification and affirm soul identification. By perceiving the spirit, they adjust the levels and see them in proper alignment. The dove has landed on your head. By perceiving the spirit, they adjust the levels and see them in proper alignment. This places spirit at the center, where souls can communicate directly. So this is alchemy in a certain sense. This is like so mystical in that sense. It's like by perceiving the spirit, they adjust the levels and see them in proper alignment. This places the spirit at the center, where the souls can communicate directly. So you come into a soul communication. The soul is always in direct communication with God. Suddenly that aligns, you could say, and you start to become part of this direct communication in your consciousness. Christ inspires all miracles, which are really essentially intercessions. They intercede for man's holiness and make them holy. They place man beyond the physical laws, like the worldly laws, and raise them into the sphere of celestial order. In this order, man is perfect. Like you come into your soul communication, the soul doesn't know anything but the perfection of you being you. In this order, man is perfect. So they place man beyond the physical laws, and that's why they heal too. So it's like we're talking about healing capacity and power here. They place you beyond the physical laws. So the physical laws are no longer determining you in your miraculous experience of yourself. So you're going to start to discover a new you, in other words. A you that is perfect, that is God itself. Christ inspires all miracles, which are essentially intercessions. They intercede for man's holiness and make him holy. They place man beyond the physical laws and raise him into the sphere of celestial order. In this order, man is perfect. Christ-controlled miracles are part of the atonement. Christ-controlled miracles are part of the atonement, but Christ's guidance is personal and leads to personal salvation. Christ's guidance is personal and leads to personal salvation. Christ controls miracles are part of the atonement, say of the undoing of the Son of Man. Like the undoing of what you think everything is, that's the Christ-controlled miracles. So they're part of the atonement because what needs to happen when is up to the curriculum with a capital C. The Christ-controlled of the Christ is the inspirator, so to speak, of that. But Christ's guidance is personal and leads to personal salvation. So the impersonal nature of miracles is an essential ingredient because this enables me to control their distribution as I see fit. So it's not you that determines what miracles need to happen. So the impersonal nature, like the not personal choice for the miracle at what time, in what situation, is an essential ingredient because this enables me to control their distribution as I see fit, as the atonement itself. Like Jesus of Christ is the atonement itself. Christ's guidance, on the other hand, leads to the highly personal experience of revelation. This is why it involves personal choice. Christ's guidance, on the other hand, leads to highly personal experience of revelation. This is why it involves personal choice. So it's like you decide for this. It's a personal choice to follow the guidance that is given you and not diss it somewhere. It's like, no, you're actually going to accept that. If you accept Christ's guidance, it leads to the highly personal experience of revelation, of direct communication with God. This is why it involves personal choice. Okay, so we're getting to the end of this part of the book then. And so the great thing that we discovered today is then the organization of this. It's like, okay, there's Christ guidance, and there's a revelation, and they're, say, Christ-controlled miracles. He's organizing that for you, what needs to happen when, to whom, with whom. He gives that to you. It's like it's not your choice. No, but your miracle-mindedness is really essential. So that's why we do the mind training. It's like that's an essential part, to become open to have a choice, to choose between miracle impulses or the impulses of the world. It's up to you. And then we have Christ guidance. Christ guidance is your way to revelation. Revelation readiness is to learn to listen to Christ guidance. So how does that work? And so the Christ guidance is literally then to listen to the voice, to wait long enough to let that come to you, instead of being distracted by the impulses of the world. So then we have the idea of, I'm doing this very short, just as like a summary. So then the idea of revelation, Christ guidance, if you start to listen to this voice, it will lead to revelation, a direct, very highly personal, intense experience of total love, say fear and doubt abolished altogether. The soul to Paul experience, something that will change you forever. So once you have experienced this power, you will never fly with the wings of a sparrow anymore. So that's why this little part that I was reading in the beginning is so essential. It's like it is trust. It is not you could say it's not a development of trust, it's trust itself that is literally there for you. All right, so this is our speed up class, you could say, to come to apply this, use this, and really deeply experience this for yourself. And that's why it's so exciting to share this with you and to give that. So thank you for your presence here today, and I hope to see you soon. Thank you so much.